Imagine this, you're in your kitchen preparing what you believe is a heart-healthy meal. Maybe you've chopped a fresh salad, added a handful of greens, or thrown a couple of pickles on the side, maybe even a clove of raw garlic because someone once told you it was good for your heart. You sit down with confidence, feeling proud that you've chosen clean food instead of takeout. But what if beneath the crunch of those vegetables lies something far less harmless than you think? Not a poison, not a chemical, not something you'd ever expect, but a slow erosion, a daily quiet weakening of the very organ that's kept you alive for over 60 years. This isn't about scaring you, it's about revealing what most people over 60 never hear in time. There are vegetables commonly praised as superfoods or essentials that can, in specific circumstances, quietly sabotage the heart's function, not because they're evil in themselves, but because your body, especially after 60, processes them differently. And if you're also on medications, which most seniors are, the interaction between what's on your plate and what's in your bloodstream can become dangerously unpredictable. You might be doing everything right, walking more, eating less sugar, staying away from fried food, but still feeling tired, breathless, or waking up with unexplained heaviness in your chest, and the answer might be sitting in your fridge in a bowl marked leftovers. It's not about eating poorly, it's about eating the wrong thing for your current biology, because after 60, your digestion slows, your metabolism shifts, and your immune system becomes more fragile. There's a dangerous assumption we all make that healthy food is healthy no matter your age, that what worked at 30 or 40 still works now, but the truth is, your body isn't the same and your heart doesn't respond the same way either. Some foods support it, others place it under subtle stress each day. That stress builds quietly, invisibly, until something breaks. So, before you take another bite of something you've always trusted, we're going to walk through 5 vegetables that might be working against you, and more importantly, how to either eliminate them or prepare them safely so they heal instead of harm. Your heart's been faithful for decades. Let's finally return the favor. It's one of the most overlooked facts in nutrition. What your body tolerates in youth can quietly turn toxic in age. Not because the food itself changes, but because you do the enzymes that used to work quickly and efficiently now take their time. Your liver isn't filtering like it used to, your kidneys aren't clearing salt with the same precision, and your gut microbiome, the billions of bacteria that used to help you break things down, has likely shifted in both diversity and strength. This means foods you've eaten for decades without a second thought might now linger longer in your digestive tract, spike your blood pressure more than before, or interact with your medications in new, unpredictable ways. It's like trying to run the same software on an older machine. Things slow down, bugs appear, and crashes happen more often. And when it comes to vegetables, this becomes especially confusing because we're told they're the safest bet. They're not fast food, they're not deep fried, they're not loaded with sugar, and that's true. But the issue isn't the label, it's the context. Spinach, raw garlic, red peppers, and sprouts might be packed with nutrients, but for a senior over 60 dealing with high blood pressure, blood thinners, or a weakened immune system, those same nutrients can become volatile triggers. Your heart isn't just a pump. It's a system affected by your blood's thickness, your arteries' elasticity, your hormone levels, your hydration status, your sodium-potassium balance, all of which are influenced by what you eat and how your body now processes that food. For example, vitamin K is great for clotting, but if you're on blood thinners, too much can cancel your medication. Sodium is necessary, but excess amounts can send your pressure skyrocketing when your arteries have already stiffened from age or inflammation. Even healthy fibers or plant compounds can ferment in a slower gut, causing bloating, fatigue, or pressure on the cardiovascular system. This doesn't mean vegetables are bad, it means they are powerful, and like anything powerful, they need to be handled with care, especially now, especially by you. Every time you sit down to eat, you're giving your body instructions on how to function, how to heal, how to regulate itself, and yes, how to protect the most vital organ you have, your heart. But not all instructions are helpful. In fact, some are misleading, especially when they come in the form of vegetables that sneak in harmful effects under the cover of good reputation. Some vegetables aren't dangerous because they're inherently toxic, but because of how they interact with age-related vulnerabilities, they tip balances that were once stable. They whisper to your blood vessels to tighten, raise your pressure, interfere with medications, overload your kidneys, or in some cases even house bacteria your older immune system is no longer equipped to handle. And what makes it worse is how quietly they do it. These vegetables don't cause immediate distress. They don't send you to the ER after one bite. They do their work slowly, subtly eroding your heart's efficiency, stealing its rhythm, messing with its pressure, chipping away at the resilience you've spent decades building. This is why so many seniors feel betrayed. They eat well, walk daily, take their pills faithfully, and still find themselves out of breath, more often fatigued after meals, or worse, diagnosed with heart issues despite their best efforts. And it's because the threat doesn't come from obvious enemies. It comes from the trusted, healthy friends on their plate. Vegetables that interfere with your blood thinners, vegetables that raise your blood pressure behind the scenes, vegetables that carry invisible microbial threats into your bloodstream, and once they're inside, they're not just irritating your stomach, they're putting pressure on your cardiovascular system, sapping your strength, and weakening your heart's ability to protect you. It's not about quitting vegetables, it's about unlearning old food myths and relearning how to eat for the body. You have now a body that has changed, a heart that needs different things, and a system that no longer runs on autopilot. Next, we'll start with one of the biggest offenders, the one most seniors proudly eat every day without knowing they're slowly pulling the rug out from under their own heart. It's hailed as one of nature's perfect foods, spinach rich in iron, fiber, vitamin K, folate, antioxidants, and dozens of other nutrients. It's the kind of vegetable that earns you praise just for putting it on your plate. But if you're over 60, and especially if you're taking heart medications like warfarin or aspirin, spinach could be slowly sabotaging you, not because it's bad, but because it's too good at what it does. The problem lies in that vitamin K, the very compound that supports clotting and heals wounds, becomes a threat when mixed with blood thinners. Your medication is trying to prevent clots, keeping your blood flowing freely. Spinach, by contrast, thickens the blood, counteracting the effect of your medicine and tipping your system toward danger, not immediately, not dramatically, but persistently, silently, one salad at a time. Many seniors have no idea this interaction exists. They drink green smoothies every morning, add handfuls of spinach to every meal, convinced they're doing their heart a favor, and then they wonder why their doctor can't seem to stabilize their INR levels, or why a mini stroke appears out of nowhere despite perfect adherence to medication. The issue isn't spinach itself, it's the inconsistency. One day you eat, none the next. You eat a bowlful, and your medication struggles to keep pace. Your blood swings back and forth between too thin and too thick, making your heart vulnerable in both directions, either to clotting or to bleeding, and neither option is safe. This doesn't mean you can never eat spinach again, but it does mean you have to respect it, treat it like a supplement, not a snack. If you're on blood thinners, speak to your doctor about setting a consistent intake. Don't spike and crash your vitamin K levels every week. Instead, decide how much you'll eat and stick to it predictably. And if you're not on blood thinners but approaching that point, it's still wise to learn how this powerful leafy green interacts with your system, because spinach isn't the enemy, but ignorance of its effect absolutely is. They crunch, they tingle, they add a spark to bland meals, and they seem innocent enough. Pickled cucumbers, olives, sauerkraut, maybe even pickled carrots. These foods feel like a smart choice, low-calorie, plant-based, flavorful, without needing added fats or sugar. But beneath the tang is a trap, especially for seniors with high blood pressure or any form of heart disease. What gives pickled vegetables their sharp kick isn't just vinegar, it's salt. And lots of it, in fact. Many pickled items are brined in sodium solutions, so concentrated they can deliver over 1,000 milligrams of salt in just a few small pieces. For context, that's 2/3 of your daily recommended sodium limit in a handful of slices. And unlike processed chips or frozen dinners, which wear their saltiness on their sleeve, pickled veggies disguise it under the veil of natural and fermented, and that's what makes them so dangerous. You don't suspect them, you don't track them, you trust them. But your heart doesn't. Your arteries stiffen under that sodium load, your blood volume swells, your kidneys strain to flush the excess fluid, and your blood pressure begins to rise slowly at first, then consistently, and with every salty bite, the pressure builds. Seniors are especially vulnerable because their vascular systems are already less elastic and their kidneys often less efficient at filtering out excess minerals. That means what might have been a tolerable sodium spike at 40 becomes a sustained stressor at 65. And this isn't just theoretical. I've seen patients cut fried foods, cut desserts, even quit soda, and still struggle with blood pressure simply because they're eating pickles every day without realizing they're sabotaging themselves. Even more dangerous is the delayed nature of the damage. No immediate headache, no instant reaction, just a gradual, unrelenting wear on your cardiovascular system until one day you're told you have hypertension or worse, congestive heart failure. The solution isn't to fear flavor, it's to replace salt with herbs, lemon vinegar without brine, and to always check labels even on healthy snacks. Your heart doesn't need blandness, it needs balance, and hidden salt is anything but that. For centuries, garlic has been celebrated as nature's medicine. It's anti-inflammatory, it lowers cholesterol, it supports immunity, and many seniors swear by it, slicing it raw, chewing a clove daily, or mixing it into meals like a shield against aging and disease. But even nature's gifts can become dangerous when used without precision, especially for a heart already walking a fine line. Raw garlic is one of the most potent natural blood thinners available, and when you combine that with heart medications like warfarin, aspirin, or clopidogrel, you may be doubling up unintentionally, creating a bloodstream that's too thin to clot when it needs to, too fragile to stop even a minor internal bleed. This isn't just a theoretical risk, it's something seen in clinics every day. Nosebleeds that won't stop, black stools from unnoticed, gastrointestinal bleeds, unexplained dizziness from sudden drops in blood pressure, all from well-meaning seniors who thought they were helping their hearts with garlic, but instead were tipping their internal chemistry too far. And it's not just the bleeding risk. Raw garlic can also lower blood pressure so effectively that when combined with hypertension meds, it can cause sudden lightheadedness, fatigue, or fainting, especially if taken before bed or during times of dehydration. The line between therapeutic and overwhelming becomes razor thin. The frustration is understandable. You're not eating junk, you're not taking shortcuts, you're doing what ancient wisdom says is right. And yet the results are dangerous, not because garlic is evil, but because it's strong and strength requires understanding. If you love garlic, the solution is not to abandon it entirely, but to modify how you use it. Cooked garlic is far gentler on the system. Its blood-thinning effects reduced, its benefits still present, but delivered in a safer, more manageable dose. And if you're still determined to take it raw, always consult your doctor first, especially if you're on any heart or blood-related medication. Natural doesn't mean harmless, and raw doesn't mean better. Your heart is not a chemistry experiment. It's a balance that must be respected, especially with remedies that have real measurable power. They look fresh, clean, even medicinal sprouts, whether alfalfa, mung bean, clover, or radish, are often praised as a living food packed with enzymes, fiber, and nutrients. You sprinkle them on your salad, toss them into sandwiches, and feel like you're giving your body something pure, something life-giving. But for seniors, especially those with heart conditions, sprouts may be hiding something far less wholesome. The very environment that makes sprouts thrive, warm, moist, enclosed, is also the perfect breeding ground for bacteria E. coli, listeria, and salmonella don't care how clean your kitchen is. They ride into your digestive tract, invisibly waiting for the right moment to attack. Younger adults might suffer a day or two of discomfort if infected, but seniors have a slower immune response and a more fragile cardiovascular system. What begins as a stomach ache can spiral into sepsis, dehydration, or in worst cases, endocarditis, a dangerous infection of the heart lining itself. And what's worse is that you don't know it's coming. There's no smell, no change in texture, nothing to warn you that the sprouts you bought 3 days ago are carrying pathogens your body might not be able to fight. I've seen patients come in confused, breathless, with elevated heart rates and low blood pressure only to later discover their heart was inflamed because of a foodborne infection that began with a healthy-looking sprout. The solution isn't to fear greens, it's to cook smart. A light sauté or steam can kill harmful bacteria while preserving flavor and texture. And if your immune system is compromised, it's worth avoiding raw sprouts altogether, especially if you already have heart issues. Health doesn't live in appearances, it lives in safety, and sometimes the cleanest looking foods are the riskiest for the hearts that have worked the hardest. When you take a medication, it's not just about the pill, it's about everything else that enters your body that day, what you eat, how you digest, how your liver processes it, and whether certain foods are quietly undoing what your prescriptions are working to protect. This is especially critical after 60, when most seniors are on more than one heart-related medication, whether it's a blood thinner for stroke prevention, a beta blocker to slow the heart, or a diuretic to manage blood pressure. These drugs are delicate tools that rely on stability and predictability, and your food choices can tip the balance without warning. Spinach, for example, doesn't just contain vitamin K, it alters how blood thinners behave. Garlic intensifies their effect. Raw sprouts can weaken the immune system during recovery, and high-sodium foods like pickles can counteract blood pressure meds, making your heart work harder even when you're trying to rest. These aren't allergic reactions or dramatic emergencies, they're quiet frictions between food and pharmaceutical, two forces pulling in opposite directions, leaving your heart in the middle, struggling to adapt, and the symptoms don't always point to food. Dizziness is blamed on age, fatigue, on bad sleep, elevated blood pressure, on stress, but the root cause might be what you had for lunch. Many doctors don't always catch these conflicts because they happen in kitchens, not clinics, and most food tracking apps don't flag raw garlic or pickled items as dangerous. But if you're over 60, and especially if your medication list is growing, your diet is no longer neutral, it's active, it's either helping or hurting. The safest thing you can do isn't to eat less, it's to eat more intentionally, to treat your plate like part of your prescription plan, because your medication doesn't stop working when you swallow it. It continues through everything you eat afterward. Most people think nutrition is about what you eat, but for seniors, especially heart-conscious ones, the how matters just as much. Raw versus cooked, steamed versus fried, boiled versus pickled. Your cooking method changes not just taste, but chemistry, and after 60, your body reacts very differently to those changes. Raw vegetables can be harder to digest for aging guts, their fibers more abrasive, their compounds more concentrated. This can lead to bloating, fatigue, and in some cases fermentation in the gut, which pushes pressure back onto your heart, especially if you already deal with slow digestion or constipation. On the other hand, gentle cooking like steaming, sautéing, or roasting can make certain nutrients more bioavailable and easier on the system. Cooked tomatoes, for example, release more lycopene, a heart protective compound, while boiling garlic tempers its aggressive anticoagulant effects without stripping away all its benefits. Even salt behaves differently when it's baked into a pickle versus lightly sprinkled at the table. When it's trapped inside the brine, it sneaks into your bloodstream without your awareness. One bite becomes a slow drip of sodium. Your kidneys struggle to filter out, especially late in the day. Your body at 30 might have handled kale smoothies and raw sprouts just fine, but after 60, the goal shifts from extraction to cooperation. Your digestive tract needs food. It can work with, not wrestle with, and your heart needs nutrients. It can absorb without triggering side effects or inflammation. So if you're cooking for your heart, steam, more fry, less roast, gently, and let the heat do some of the work your body used to do on its own. Your meals can still be flavorful, vibrant, and satisfying, but now they need to be cooked with wisdom, not just enthusiasm. After uncovering which vegetables can harm your heart, it's time to shift focus toward the ones that truly help, the ones that work with your aging body, not against it. Vegetables that don't interfere with medication, don't overload your system, and don't deliver benefits at the cost of side effects, but instead gently support your heart with every bite. Steamed broccoli is one of the best examples, rich in fiber and antioxidants. yet low in vitamin K, it helps reduce inflammation and cholesterol without interacting with blood thinners. Roasted carrots are another powerhouse loaded with beta-carotene. They support arterial health and digestion, and their natural sweetness makes them comforting and easy to eat, even on days when appetite is low. Cooked tomatoes release more lycopene, a compound shown to reduce plaque buildup in arteries and protect against high blood pressure. And when you warm them slightly with a touch of olive oil, you not only enhance absorption, but deliver heart-healthy fats in the process. Sweet potatoes are another heart ally. Their high potassium content helps balance sodium levels in the body, lowering blood pressure naturally. They're also packed with fiber and complex carbs, which help regulate blood sugar, a major factor in overall cardiovascular health. Green beans, lentils, and cooked kale, in consistent portions if you're on blood thinners, are excellent sources of plant-based nutrition that help stabilize blood pressure, nourish your blood vessels, and support digestion, all without the risky interactions of raw or overly fortified foods. The key isn't to chase exotic superfoods, but to embrace warmth, simplicity, and consistency. Your heart doesn't need novelty, it needs reliability, and these vegetables provide just that. Cooked the right way, served in moderate portions, and eaten regularly, they quietly build strength into every beat of your heart. Greens aren't the enemy. In fact, they're among the most powerful allies your heart can have. But for seniors on medication, especially blood thinners or pressure regulators, how you handle greens can determine whether they heal or harm. It's not about avoiding them, it's about managing them wisely. Take kale, spinach, collard greens, even parsley. These are all high in vitamin K, which helps your blood clot, a crucial function. But when you're on warfarin or similar medications designed to prevent clots, sudden changes in vitamin K intake can throw your system into chaos, not because the greens are bad, but because your medication dosage is built around a certain baseline of vitamin K in your body. So if 1 week you eat a massive kale salad every night, and the next you eat none, your blood's consistency swings up and down. This roller coaster puts pressure on your heart and can either increase your risk of clotting or cause dangerous internal bleeding. The solution is consistency. Decide how much of these greens you want in your diet and stick to it week after week. A half cup of cooked spinach 3 times a week, for example, is far safer than eating 2 cups one day and none the next. Because when your doctor knows what you're consistently eating, your medication dosage can be adjusted precisely around that pattern. Also consider cooking your greens, steaming or sautéing them gently. This reduces their vitamin K intensity slightly and makes them easier to digest. Cooked greens are also less likely to irritate your stomach or interfere with absorption of your other meds. Finally, always keep your doctor informed. Don't make big changes to your diet without looping them in, because your medication doesn't float in isolation. It works with your meals, your habits, and your timing, and your greens can either be an anchor or a storm depending on how you manage them. For many seniors, the hardest part isn't the diagnosis or the medication. It's the betrayal that creeps in when food stops feeling safe, when the meals you once trusted turn out to have been working against you in silence. It's easy to lose faith in your plate, to feel like you have to second-guess everything you eat or strip all joy from your meals just to protect your heart. But healing doesn't come from fear. It comes from understanding and reclaiming control. And that starts by rebuilding your relationship with food, not as an enemy to fear, but as a partner. To collaborate with your body has changed, and that means your plate has to evolve with it, not out of punishment, but out of respect. You don't have to give up flavor or variety. You simply have to shift your lens from what's healthy to what's healthy for me now. And that distinction is everything, because food isn't just nutrition, it's history, culture, habit, and comfort. And those things matter as much to your spirit as nutrients do to your blood. Start small. Choose a few vegetables that love your heart back and build around them. Listen to how your body responds. Don't chase trendy superfoods or fads. Instead, focus on simplicity and consistency. Your goal isn't perfection, it's stability. Not wild swings in diet or sudden detoxes, but a gentle, steady rhythm that your heart can rely on. And when in doubt, don't guess, ask your doctor, a registered dietitian, or even a pharmacist, because your medication and your meals are in a delicate dance, and you deserve a partner who knows the steps. Food got you here, it can help lead you out too, not by looking backward, but by choosing each bite forward with care, awareness, and love. By the time you reach your 60s, routine becomes more than just a habit. It becomes a form of medicine. The body thrives on patterns, especially a body managing heart medication, slower metabolism and shifting digestion. Every irregular choice, an extra salty snack one day or a garlic-heavy meal the next, adds uncertainty and stress to a system already fighting for balance. Your heart doesn't need excitement, it needs predictability, and the most powerful way to support it isn't through occasional acts of discipline, but through consistent daily rituals, meals that are familiar in ingredients, and portion meals that you know your body can digest, meals that don't spike or starve but simply flow. This doesn't mean eating the same thing every day, but it does mean building a library of safe foods and rotating through them: cooked carrots, baked sweet potatoes, green beans, sautéed kale in steady portions. These aren't just nutritious, they're dependable. And when you give your heart that stability, it rewards you with energy, steadier blood pressure, and fewer scary surprises at the doctor's office. Routines also help your medication work better because doctors can predict how your diet influences your drug levels, which makes adjustments more precise and outcomes more consistent. Consistency isn't boring when you're older, it's empowering. It gives your body rhythm, it gives your blood chemistry a fighting chance, and it tells your heart each day exactly what to expect. That's not control, it's compassion toward the organ that has never missed a beat for you. The first step toward healing isn't medication. It isn't a new diet or a fitness tracker. It's awareness, that quiet moment where you realize some of your habits, though rooted in good intention, may not be serving your heart anymore. It's not failure, it's awakening, and it's where real change begins. Because once you become aware of how certain vegetables interact with your medications or how your cooking style affects blood pressure, you can start to make choices from knowledge, not guesswork. And with that clarity comes power, the power to prevent, not just treat, to protect your heart before it begs for help. This awareness doesn't mean fear, it means curiosity, asking questions, reading labels, watching how your body responds, and making changes that feel sustainable, not punishing, not extreme, just conscious, simple shifts like cooking your greens instead of eating them raw, checking sodium content before buying a healthy snack, or spacing out garlic consumption if you're on blood thinners. These are the decisions that add up day by day, heartbeat by heartbeat, toward a safer, more energized future. You don't have to overhaul your life, you just have to wake up to it, because when you understand the impact of what's on your plate, you start to eat not just for taste or tradition, but for protection, for performance, for peace. Awareness turns meals into medicine, and that shift in mindset is what separates survival from healing. It's what allows your heart to finally rest, not from stress, but in gratitude. Your heart has been with you through everything, every heartbreak, every thrill, every sleepless night, and every second chance. And the truth is, it's still with you now, still working, still hoping, still waiting for you to listen. Not just to your cravings or your habits, but to the quiet signals. It's been sending fatigue after meals, lightheadedness that didn't used to be there, pressure that comes and goes. These aren't just age. They're whispers that something in your daily rhythm isn't right. But here's the most important part. You haven't run out of time, even if you've been eating the wrong foods for years. Even if you never knew that pickles or raw garlic or spinach could interact with your meds. Your body isn't here to punish you, it's here to heal, and it will given the chance. Your next heartbeat isn't promised, but it is yours. And what you put on your plate today can make that beat stronger, more stable, more joyful. This isn't about fear, it's about legacy. The legacy of choosing to treat your body like something worth preserving, of finally giving your heart what it's quietly asked for all these years: balance, consistency, peace. So start now, not with a radical cleanse or impossible routine, but with one informed choice. Maybe it's swapping raw sprouts for steamed greens. Maybe it's cooking garlic instead of chewing it raw. Maybe it's having the courage to ask your doctor a question you've been too embarrassed to ask. Because your heart doesn't need perfection, it just needs partnership, and the moment you decide to meet it halfway, everything begins to change. Not all at once, but steadily, beat by beat, meal by meal, and day by day.